Hey, what up, guys? All right, this video we're continuing the year-end top 10s for the 140-pound junior welterweight division. This video we're going to discuss numbers 5 through 8 and break those fighters down. So let's get it rolling. We start with number 8, former WBA champion Kira Relic. Relic entered 2019 ranked 5th in this division. He was coming off of 2018 where he scored his career best win and got some revenge when he defeated Rances Barthelemy by a clear unanimous decision in their rematch from their 2017 bout, in which Barthelemy got a controversial 12-round decision over Relic, and in that fight he even scored a knockdown, and Relic, dominated him in the rematch in 2018. That got him into the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals, where he won again, beating, I forget the former champion's name that he beat off the top of my head, but he beat a former champion by a decision and punched his ticket to the semifinals. Semifinals, though, came in April when he would defend against undefeated Regis Prograis. Prograis was the ¡1 ranked fighter coming into the tournament, so, this was a big deal and a big-time challenge for Relic, a veteran and a tough fighter. And you know what? We saw how good Regis Prograis was. Prograis dominated Relic and hurt him and just beat him up and scored a 6th-round TKO over Relic, taking the world title from Kira Relic and becoming a new world champion. Relic did not fight the remainder of the year, and I did not hear anything about him. Sadly, that loss obviously took a lot out of him. He wanted to take some time off, so he took the remaining 8 months of the year off. And, we really don't know heading into 2020 what Relic is doing. He's 30 years old, so he's kind of in his physical prime in terms of boxing. He's 23-3 with 19 knockouts. He's not really ranked by any governing body. I think he's actually ranked up at welterweight in one of the governing bodies. It might be the WBC. So that might be what Relic decides to do. I still think Relic could do some damage at 140. I'm not sure how good he's going to be at 147. But I like Relic. And he needs to have a bounce back year for sure, to where he gets a win, maybe 2 wins under his belt, and then later in the year fights, maybe gets a bigger name opponent, gets into a final eliminator. He's not a big name, so he's going to struggle landing those big fights. That's just the way it is with him. So he needs to work himself in to some kind of an eliminator towards the middle to the end of the year if he really wants to get serious. And I hope he does. I hope he comes back before his 1-year mark of not fighting, because I like Relic. He's just a tough guy that kind of was an overachiever. He lost to Ricky Burns, and then he beat Barthelemy, and that got him in, and he, really beat a couple guys that people thought he wasn't going to beat, and became a world champion. And now he can ride that, and becoming a world champion does work out. It does make him attractive for guys that want to take stepping stone type fights. They could say, hey, we'll fight a former world champion, Kira Relic. So, and he's kind of got that style where he's open to be hit. So that'll give him opportunities. So I hope he gets one of those opportunities and at least works himself back into where he has a shot at becoming a mandatory challenger by the end of the year. So we'll see what happens. Finishing the year number 7 is former WBO champion Maurice Hooker. Hooker entered the year number 6, so he drops 1 spot. He was the undefeated WBO champion coming in. He was coming off a great 2018 where he went over to England and kind of scored a mild upset over former lightweight champion Terry Flanagan in Flanagan's backyard. Flanagan's from England. So that was a nice win for Hooker, who is, trying to establish himself, and he captured his first world title with that win. He returned in November and knocked the fuck out of Alex Saucedo. After taking a knockdown in the 2nd round, he came back and knocked him out. So, impressive performance. Then he jumped in the ring. Heading into the year, he got a kind of a subpar decision win over some guy named Michael Lespierre and retained the WBO title. It wasn't impressive, but he still got the win. this set up a unification bout with Jose Ramirez, and I thought Hooker was going to beat him. I thought Hooker was the better boxer. He was going to beat him. It ended up being a toe-to-toe war between the two, and it really was a trade of every other round. I mean, they were trading rounds of who was winning the round. They were going at it, and then, boom, he got caught in the 6th round. Hard punch and combination by Ramirez, and Ramirez just jumped on him, and next thing you know, the referee's waving off the fight because Hooker was really hurt, and he was about to get knocked out badly, and the referee saved him. So, tough loss for Hooker. After the fight, he said he was going to move up to 147 next because he feels the reason he lost was having to, get down to 140, cutting weight. He said he feels like that really affected him in that fight with Ramirez and the last couple fights, even with the fight with Lespierre. He says it was a weight struggling to get down to 140. So, but as as he was getting closer to getting his next fight in, he decided that he was going to meet his next opponent at 144, which was right between 140 and 147, to see what his opportunities were in the future, because that he could still make 140 if it was worth it. So he did that. He got a first-round knockout win over some nobody, Uriel Perez, some nobody. Knocked him out in the first round. A good bounce-back win. And heading into 2020, he's number 6 in the WBO. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that's kind of high risk, low reward, yes, but he's worth taking a look at. He's a good fighter. He'll get on the DAZN card as he fights for Matchroom. So I think he just needs to go in and try to get any fight that he can. He's going to struggle to get fights at 147 if he moves up, but that might be a better weight for him. He's a good boxer and he's got decent power, so that might be a better option for him. But I think he's got more options in terms of his promotion at 140, and I think he realizes that. So I think he needs to make a decision, come back quick. If he cannot get somebody in the ring next that he really wants, like an eliminator or something like that, I think he needs to do the same thing, maybe fight at the catch weight right in between the 2 weight classes, and then see from there. But I want to see him by the middle to the end of the year either get another title shot or put himself in an eliminator for a title shot, whether it be 147 or 140, because he is a good fighter, he is talented, and he's got some pop, and I do enjoy watching him fight. So hopefully that's what happens for him heading into the year. He's 27-1 with 18 knockouts, and he's only 30 years old, so I'd like to see him get another opportunity. Finishing the year number 6 is former lightweight champion Robert Easter Jr. He entered the year not ranked at 140. He was at 135 entering the year. His first fight was at 135 as he fought for the vacant WBA regular lightweight title against Rancy Barthelemy. And in the worst fight of the year, and one of the worst fights I've ever seen, neither guy really wanted to test themselves and put themselves out there. And he was coming off that loss to Mikey Garcia in 2018, so he really needed to. He got a main event against Barthelemy, which I was surprised at. And then he totally stunk the place up by not even fighting, and I was very pissed at this fight. It was just such a stinker. It was such a bad fight for both fighters, and a bad showing to the fans. And I was really disgusted. So when it ended up in a draw, and I'm glad it ended in a draw because Easter did not deserve anything after this fight. But Robert Easter decided to move up to 140 in his second fight in October, and he turned in a much better performance. He took on Adrian Granados, a tough contender who was coming down for 147, and he outworked him. Well, not outworked him, because actually Granados landed more punches and threw more punches, but Robert landed the better shots and definitely mixed it up with him. And he walked away with a 10-round unanimous decision. Now, this was a little bit controversial. A lot of people thought that Granados could have won, or that the fight was at least closer, but nonetheless, most people didn't argue the fact that Robert Easter was the winner. So he gets a nice win in his debut at 140, and bounces off of 2 subpar performances against Mikey Garcia and Rancy Barthelemy. So that was a good way to end the year for this former lightweight champion. So going into 2020 now, he's 28 years old, so he's still young and in the prime of his career. So he's got he's got that on his side. His record is 31-2 with I know he's 22-1-1 with 14 knockouts. He's not ranked by any of the governing bodies though, so he needs to get that taken care of, and I think he will. He should get into something, and I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the ring. The only thing is the PBC, not a lot of pull at 140 right now, but I really do believe guys are going to be more willing to fight each other. So I hope Easter gets into some kind of an eliminator this year to compete for a world title either by the end of the year or in 2021. He's young enough, and I think he needs to work himself into that. So we'll see how that goes in 2020 for Robert Easter Jr. And now the last guy we talk about in this video is a former WBC champion, Viktor Postol of the Ukraine. Postol entered the year number 4, so he drops one spot to number 5. After coming off of 2018 where he lost it ended up being a blowout unanimous decision, but it was a really close fight with Josh Taylor. You know, when he went over to Scotland and fought him, they scored the fight way more than it really was. You know, and it should have been a lot closer decision. But he lost that fight, but he proved that he still is legit against the best fighters. And then he came back and kind of had a shaky performance against some nobody. So we really weren't sure what we were going to see at Postol. And in April, he got some kind of an eliminator against Mohamed Manoue and dominated that guy by a 10-round unanimous decision. He looked like his old self. That was on a Showtime card. So impressive performance right there by Postol. After that win, though, nothing happened the remainder of the year because he was waiting around for a mandatory shot. And so he negotiated one. And now entering 2020, he has that title fight in line, locked in stone, ready to happen. He's 35 years old now. And and he's the WBC's #1 contender, and that's putting him in to a final title shot now against Jose Ramirez, the unified and undefeated junior welterweight champion. Postol is coming in this fight an underdog, but I think he's a very live underdog. He's taller, he's bigger than Ramirez, and he's a type of fighter I believe he could pull this one off. I really do. He's that good of a fighter, and I would not be surprised if he upsets Jose Ramirez in this fight. But that's why they got to get in the ring. That fight's taking place February 1st on ESPN. It's going to be a very good fight right there. I personally think Ramirez is going to beat him. I think Ramirez could knock him out. But, again, I would not be surprised if Postol upset Ramirez and knockout. I'm not sure he could knock him out, but I think a decision he could win for sure if he's the old Postol. But we'll see. Again, he's 35 years old. So we'll see what he has left and what he can do against the younger Jose Ramirez. But that's February 1st on ESPN. All right, guys. Viktor Postol at number 5. Robert Easter Jr. at number 6. Maurice Hooker at number 7. And Kira Relic at number 8. All former world champions. So this is a good one. That's the year-end top 10s for the 140-pound junior welterweight division, 2019. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.